What is the most depressing truth that you've had to accept? Just because you think someone is the one, doesn't mean they think you are. Extra pain is that other person will tell you that you are the one, because it's the easy option. This is my biggest fear. My so is so important to me, and I honestly think they're the one, but I always have this nagging at me. It sucks just as much knowing how sure they are of you, and not being sure yourself, despite how much you know you love them. Can I really love anyone at that level? Am I too broken for that? Yep. Fuck you, brain. Why you gotta make things so difficult? Sometimes old friends don't want to reconnect. I'm everything that is wrong with me. Any and all dissatisfaction I have with my life stems from my consistent inability to change it. I could be doing better in college, go to the gym more, network more, read more, etc, and the only thing holding me back is that I have no motivation. I don't care enough about myself to do anything. I'm not good at much, average at a lot of things, not motivated enough to improve. You have to subconsciously dehumanize the people outside the sphere of your consideration, because to be constantly aware and empathetic of the sheer human suffering all around you is to go mad. All you can do is help who you can. Karma doesn't exist, and life is unfair. Some people will have all the bad things happen to them, even though they are good people. And some of the worst people ever will live a happy and fulfilling life, maybe even because they fucked other people over, and nothing will ever happen to correct that imbalance. If karma doesn't exist, explain how I have 32k worth of karma. Checkmate, atheists. That most people don't really amount to anything, and just live in the background of the world, and are forgotten when they die. That my parents are gonna eventually pass away. I don't know what I'm going to do. My wife is not happy with the way our life is together, and one day she will have to leave. That I'm probably Noon's favorite person. Why am I reading this thread, Jesus Christ? That some people do not care if they fuck your life over. They are too sociopathic to feel remorse or care about the consequences, or they'll gladly do anything for a quick laugh. Growing up I was abandoned by my dad, neglected by my mom, and sexually abused by my mother's boyfriends. Knowing this, my mom still treated me like a maid. I ran away, worked several jobs just to graduate, always went hungry, wrote my thesis by hand, was always alone when I got severely sick, etc. People would always tell me that all the suffering is just the world preparing me for something greater. Life will have so much goodness in store for me because of how much I've suffered. That's not necessarily true. Sometimes bad people will continue to have comfortable lives and good people will continue to suffer. Loyalty to a company means nothing to the company. There are people in this world who are going to live ruined, miserable lives they don't deserve, and there is really nothing I can do about it. Barely anyone actually gives a shit about you. Summer vacation is over for me. Forever. I still have that feeling this time of year that I'm due 3 months off. Where every day is a long day outside doing what I want to do. Drinking out of hose spigots and dancing in sprinklers. Until it starts to get dark and you know you should head home for dinner but you play just one more game. Then your mom calls you in, and you head home before the orange sky turns purple then black, and the crickets and frogs sing louder and louder. Now I work, I'm not a teacher, and I won't have any of that again until I retire. And when I retire I doubt it will mean the same thing to me without the 9 months of school/work preceding summertime. Plus, old. I thought I could be happy being alone. I peaked in high school, or maybe early college at best. That death is forever, and life isn't fucking fair. Like clearly I know that and everyone knows that, but I had a cousin who was literally the salt of the earth, give you the shirt off his back guy. He was an paramedic, always helping people. He looked after his mum his whole life. He lived with her, took care of her, did absolutely everything for her. She died last Christmas at 92. It was a blessing in disguise. She had had a few strokes, and ended up in a home, and she said that she did not want to keep living like that. She also had been diagnosed with Huntington's, and so had my cousin. Fast forward to Easter this year, my cousin was heading from his house to his sister's, like a 20-minute drive away, and had a head-on collision with another car. Other guy walked away, but my cousin took the brunt. They turned off life support the next day. It was so bad they had a cloth over his face when he was on life support, so family didn't see how bad his face was. We thought when his mum died that he would get to live life for himself kinda thing, but he got 4 months of life before it was stolen from him. Yet you have murderers, terrorists and scumbags who live until they are 100. Bullshit. I still can't believe I will never see him again. R.I.P. Cousins Arcs. I'll never be a child again. That I'll be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. Elderly people really once were the same excited child I was not all that long ago. Same with dead people. The only knight in shining armor I'm ever going to have is myself. Nobody is ever going to save me. I'm not special enough to save. I've gotten out of a lot of bad situations though, thanks to the above. My parents just aren't capable of being the parents they should been. They aren't going to wake up one day and realize all they've done wrong. It's never going to change. You either gonna die young or live to bury your parents and friends. I know this might sound stupid, but the thing that depresses me the most is the realization that everyone I've ever loved and will love will someday die. I remember the first time my mom told me that she would die someday. I was a toddler, and this is one of my earliest memories because of the complete disbelief and devastation I felt. I cried for days because imagining a world where my mom no longer existed wasn't something that I could reasonably deal with. When my favorite uncle was diagnosed with cancer and sent me letters telling me to remember him and not to visit him in hospital because he wanted me to think of him like he used to be, dancing and laughing. I remember thinking, what do you mean, remember? I made him a get well soon card and waited for him to come home, but he never did and everyone cried when I mentioned his name. When my nana was diagnosed with cancer and had it recede, only to come back with unconquerable force, and now, with doctors saying that my mom isn't taking enough care of herself and might not live to see her grandchildren. The idea of getting old is still so foreign to me. I'm 23 this year, my parents are in their early 50s and my grandparents are nearing 80. I see the people around me age, seemingly shrinking and fading around the edges as each year makes itself known, and I just can't wrap my head around it. I took a picture of my parents the other day, and looking at it now I realize that I have this superimposed image in my mind of how they look. Mom with smiling eyes and unruly brown hair and my dad with a constant grin. But when I put my glasses on and really look, I can see the wrinkles that weren't there before. The way my dad's going bald, and they stoop just a little lower than before. I just can't make sense of the fact that one day they won't be here. That one day I'll be the one using a walking stick and asking my grandkids to tell me which card is green and which is yellow, because I can't tell the difference. I just can't imagine it. There's probably a person with the potential of being smarter than Einstein, but he's busy working all day to feed his parents/children because he was born poor and never got the chance to go to a school or university. That my parents had multiple opportunities to stop my sister and I from being sexually abused, but they just didn't. They ignored the red flags and constant boundary violations, and even me telling them at a very early age that a certain man who turned out to be my abuser made me feel very uncomfortable and unsafe. They were otherwise very good supportive parents, but in this instance, they prioritized their social capital and convenience over protecting their daughters and my sister, and I paid the ultimate price. That money rules everything around us. It doesn't matter how much care I put into them. When I foster kittens from the animal shelter, some will die. They'll go limp in my hands in the car and my dogs won't understand why I keep taking a kitten and not bring it back. They were born on the streets to a sickly stray mother, and they will die before they get a chance, unless I spend a couple grand per kitten, with nothing but a lifetime of medication and half-fulfilling lives to look forward to, if they're extremely lucky. I expected this in a way when my wife and I started, but I just lost a third one from bad reactions to a vaccine, or maybe parvo. I don't know. Went catatonic, and had a heart attack at the vet. I'll die alone. Life sucks. Friends leave you. People you love die. WW2 Nazi and Japanese death camps actually happened. Not just in textbooks. Soviet Union happened. People are not what they seem. College is retardedly expensive. This is my own personal depression truth, but hopefully some people out there feel me on this. Being sexually abused will stick with you forever, and it will define who you are, whether you know it or not. That can be good or bad. You can use your traumatic experience and twist into something good, like a career path, or you can let it drown you. And if you let it drown you, it will be a constant downward spiral until you've realized you've hit rock bottom, and it will be incredibly hard to get back up. There is no cosmic teeter-totter. People tend to have this weird idea that life is in balance, that there's equal good and bad, that there's a quota to maintain. The I can get away with X because I did Y today. A moral version of cheating with your diet. Truth is, all the good deeds in the world doesn't unmolest a kid in some shithole third world country. Someone winning the lottery doesn't somehow negate another person being gunned down a town over. This is double-edged. On the one hand, you can't do good to get rid of the bad in this world. It doesn't work that way. On the flip side, understanding this has made it far easier to do good, because, as mentioned, there's no quota, and good is still good, even if it doesn't undo the bad. It's still shitty, because I'm constantly aware that I can't bust my ass all day every day and save everyone, and someone somewhere is going to grow up scared, scarred, and jaded no matter how much good karma I put out there. It's both motivating and depressing at the same time.